I'm Gareth Moore. I'm the CEO of Virginia Distillery Company, and I'd like to tell you about our story. My late father, Dr. George G. Moore, had great passions for both single malt whiskey and his adopted home of Virginia. Dad knew that the unique landscape and climate of the Blue Ridge Mountains would be the perfect place for crafting an American single malt whiskey. Born in Ireland, Dad came to the United States in 1972 and spent his career building successful businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. Dad finally had the chance to combine his two passions when he established the vision for Virginia Distillery Company in 2011. While he sadly passed away while the distillery was still under construction, today, my mother Angela, my wife Maggie, and I have dedicated ourselves to seeing Dad's vision through to fruition. At Virginia Distillery Company, we're continuously inspired by the rich traditions of whiskey making from around the world and the influences of our home in the New World. We have found that our distillery location, nestled beautifully amongst the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, combined with Virginia's climate of broad temperature and humidity variations day to day and season to season, adds great depth and complexity to our whiskeys. The idyllic landscape that surrounds the distillery also provides the mineral-rich, natural well water, which is used for all aspects of producing our whiskeys. We combine the power of the local environment with the rich historical techniques and traditions of whiskey making to create uniquely American whiskey. We use the highest quality American malted barley, which is stored on site, then milled in our traditional roller mill, and combined with our own well water to create our mash. We use hand-hammered copper pot stills and a custom spirit safe made in Scotland to distill our spirit using time-honored techniques. Guided by renowned whiskey maturation expert Dr. Jim Swan, we age in exceptional casks that allow us to add different elements to the body of the spirit. We use a combination of traditional charred oak former bourbon casks, sherry, and specialty wine casks. These casks, combined with the dynamic climate of Virginia's Blue Ridge Mountains, provides a truly unique aging process, which elevates the rich complexity of the spirit and separates us from traditional whiskeys. We're extremely proud of all of the hard work that is poured into every bottle. While we are inspired by time-honored traditions, we are also creating traditions of our own, making whiskey more than what it has been, while remaining true to ourselves and our home. We carry my father's legacy forward by reinventing single malt whiskey in a uniquely American way, continuing the long tradition of immigrants bringing old world products to the new world and not replicating them, but making them our own. Dad would often encourage his friends and family to have the courage of your convictions. His credo became our core principle at Virginia Distillery Company and the name of our American Single Malt whiskey, Courage and Conviction. The whiskeys of Courage and Conviction, developed under the tutelage of Dr. Jim Swan, feature three core cask types: bourbon casks, sherry casks, and cuvee casks. Our bourbon casks formerly held Kentucky bourbon. Aging in American oak bourbon casks adds notes of vanilla, caramel, butterscotch, oak, smoke, and cinnamon to the whiskey. We use several different types of sherry casks, including Fino, Oloroso, and Pedro Jimenez. These casks give the whiskey notes of tart cherry, golden raisin, fig, caramelized plum, brown sugar, and spice. Our cuvee casks were pioneered by Dr. Jim Swan, and they're known in the industry as STR, shave, toast, and rechar. The casks are sourced from premium European red wine producers, and after the wine has aged, the cask is broken down, each stave is shaved, toasted, recharred, and then recoopered back together. The recharring of the cask energizes the wood sugars and brings forward barrel spice, bright red fruit, and toasted pecan notes to our whiskey. Our flagship offering of Courage and Conviction American Single Malt Whiskey showcases each of these cask types with a target recipe of 50% bourbon cask, 25% sherry cask, and 25% cuvee cask. We also produce 3 different expressions of courage and conviction that singularly highlights the distinct cask types we use. A final step in our process is dedicating each batch of courage and conviction by naming it for an individual that is embodied living by our principle to have the courage of your convictions. Each and every bottle is a culmination of the world's finest distilling techniques, aged to perfection in the ideal climate of the Virginia Blue Ridge Mountains, then expertly blended to create a premium American single malt whiskey. With the courage to create our own traditions and the conviction to remain true to ourselves and our home, Courage and Conviction sets a new standard for single malt whiskey, an American product rivaling the finest whiskeys in the world.